Welcome to episode 51 of Pinnacle FC, where winners reside. Well, at least one of us is come out of the gate absolutely on fire, and me, still above water. I'm just swimming in the right direction. Gareth Wheeler, Jake Osgathorpe with you. We're entering week 3 of the new European domestic season, and Jake Osgathorpe has barely got a pick wrong. Over 5 units of profit in this new model that we're deploying over the course of this season. Well done, Jake, where we have 5 units to bet each and every week, and you're up over 5 units already. Well done. Another great week last week, Jake.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we should just stop the count now. Let's just call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it was
Mercy
good. We were
roll.
just chatting before. Yeah, we were just chatting beforehand, and for whatever reason, I just feel like I've got a really good feel at the minute for where teams are, and that probably comes down to quite a lot of consistency and continuity at quite a lot of the clubs. So you know exactly how teams are going to approach things, and how they're going to set up. So yeah, it's been pretty good so far. There were a couple of bad beats for one for each of us last week, wasn't there? Yours was the Dortmund, who were 3-1 up and then had a man sent off and ended up drawing 3-3. Mine was Real Madrid scoring in the 93rd minute to deny a winning unders at, I don't know what that price was, about plus 280, something like that. But
Yeah.
we can't complain. We're both in the green, which is the main thing. And there's quite a few that I like this week as well.
I think I was on the Real Madrid win to 0. Just, you could have gone in that direction, Jake.
Oh,
but
yeah.
perfection is
I went for extra,
what we all
I went for a bit of
aspire
extra
to do.
juice. Extra juice and got bitten, didn't he? Vinicius Junior bit me.
I think there's a relevant conversation about the early season markets because obviously the data from the new season is still coming in. We use the eye test, we use the data, the analytics, the numbers that are provided, but how much of that early season run is just kind of about feel, Jake? Playing within your means and betting on what you know rather than what you think may be.
Yeah, definitely. And what we know is, like I said, there's been quite a lot of continuity at quite a lot of the Premier League clubs. So we've got a season's worth of data already around most of the teams in the league. So we've generally got a good feel. There's not been too many managerial changes. There's only Tottenham really that's made a change. So everyone else, we've got a decent body, a decent sample size to work from, and that kind of, there's no reason to change your opinion headed into the new season, just off the back of a few signings, especially in the case of a certain team that wears red. So it's been pretty kind of a continuation from last season for me, really, given the way in which things have gone in terms of how I see teams, where I rank teams as well. And I think we'll get on to it. So quite a few of my my plays this week are underdogs, taking the underdogs, because I think there's just massively underestimated some of the Premier League's middle class, which is by far and away a million miles better than it was 3 or 4 years ago, and it's given the bigger teams much more to think about.
Okay, we'll get into that over the course of this podcast. A reminder, 5 units to play each and every week, up to 5 bets to spend that. I'm 5-4 in the season with a 0.84 profit. Jake, 5.3 profit. What are you, 6 and 2.5? You've really done well out of the gate here as well. Each and every week on this podcast, a reminder, bet smart, bet Pinnacle. All the markets that we use are for Pinnacle. We cover the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, and Bundesliga, and any other games which may pop up on our radar as well. Let's get straight into this weekend's action in the Premier League. I mean, the big game's on Sunday, isn't it? Liverpool and Arsenal from Anfield. I'm not sure if that's where you want to start or you'd rather go somewhere else because these mid-table teams are catching your eye, but really that's the fixture of the weekend. Liverpool somehow coming away with a 3-2 win at the death at Newcastle, which I say somehow tongue-in-cheek. They were up a man. Anthony Gordon was sent off in the first half for Newcastle, but Liverpool had a really tough time against Newcastle. Although the 3 points are all that matters to Arne Slot in that team. And Arsenal smashed Leeds United. It was one of my favorite plays Arsenal to win to nil last weekend. It came through with flying colors. The game was over, let's be honest, after what, half an hour, 40 minutes. And Arsenal looked much more the accomplished outfit that we saw last season, but dealing with some injuries. Liverpool had some absences at right back as well. Frimpong, Bradley probably still not good to go this weekend. Arsenal, Saka, Odegaard, two marquee absences heading into this weekend as well. I believe they're dealing with a hamstring and a groin potentially, respectively. So looking at these markets, Liverpool at home shouldn't surprise anyone that they're the favorite, but based upon the way that they played out of gate this season, it's encouraging me to play the other side of this. How are you looking at this game?
Exactly the same, yeah. I think there's definitely too short Liverpool in terms of the price. Plus 116 for the home win. I wouldn't be going anywhere near that personally. I think
No.
we've seen enough in the two games that they've played against Bournemouth and Newcastle that there's just so many problems there defensively, and I think they just come from them being too attacking and too attack minded. They don't seem to have the same balance as they had last year in terms of that midfield three with Soboslai and McAllister and Gravenberch, and obviously Soboslai's filling in at right back at the moment. So um, yeah,
I was so weird. You called it too. I was like, Shobaslai's really going to play right back?
yeah,
And it's causing problem. There's a knock-on effect as Herkes down the left-hand side. He can't defend his own shadow right now. It's been tough to watch.
yeah. And like you said, the game on Monday was alarming really because they were 2-0 up with 10 men and kind of against 10 men and kind of cruising. And they just got run over by the 10 men of Newcastle in terms of they just got out muscled, out physical, outran. And they were very fortunate to come away with 3 points. And anywhere near that level of performance here, and you have to fancy Arsenal to win, even though they do have some missing players. And I think if I was to pick, I would be picking Arsenal on the handicap. But I think just plumping for the draw is is worth a small bet at plus 255. I mean, there's two ways you can look at it. Like it's a great opportunity to make a mark, and make a real stamp early on in the season to beat a title rival, or both happy with the draw and decide things later down the line. And yeah, I think the way in which Arteta will set them up is going to be defensive. We know that he's going to set up there. He's going to play. He's probably going to bring Marino into midfield with Rice and Zubimendi,
Yeah.
and he's probably going to play Eze off the left and Madueke off the right, and really try and be compact.
Pretty good.
It's
Pretty
pretty
good.
good. It is, but at the same time, they'll not take as many risks as what we would like them to against what is a vulnerable Liverpool defence. So, yeah, I could definitely see this being a draw. And I think it's worthwhile pointing out that Arsenal are actually unbeaten against Liverpool the last 6 head-to-heads, including the last 4 trips to Anfield. So it's a place they've been going and getting results, and all 4 of those last meetings have been draws. So I think plus 255, just draw on the nose, is worth a small bet.
Okay. Two separate plays. One I'm making as an official play for at least a unit. I'll confirm a little bit later on in this podcast. But Arsenal on the Asian handicap at 0. So essentially a draw, no bet at plus 153. That number's come down over the last 12 hours from plus 160. Because Arsenal can win this outright, it wouldn't surprise, but you have that draw and you get your stake back if they end up drawing the match. And at plus 153, that's a big old number for me getting on the team that I think is the better side, even despite those losses. With Liverpool, just defensively, they're a mess. Head to head, these two sides, you mentioned Arsenal in the string of games against Liverpool. They drew 2-2 twice last season, which may come into my second bet. But they scored, Liverpool scored 7 goals on 2.98 expected goals, courtesy of Understat. And they're the 4th highest expected goals against thus far with 3.54. I need to remind you, they played Bournemouth at home and a 10-man Newcastle side and still giving up plenty of chances. That is worrying. Arsenal coming off the 5-0, 2 from 2, 6 goals scored, none conceded, the second best in XG. And I just think that you're getting on the right side here. So that'll be my one play. I wouldn't discourage anyone. The Arsenal team total of plus 184. That's a huge number considering how weak this Liverpool side is defensively. Set pieces could be big as well. No team better in the Premier League than Arsenal as well. So at plus 184 to score twice. Bournemouth did it. Newcastle did it with 10 men. Why can't Arsenal go to Anfield and do the exact same thing?
Yeah, that's definitely would be my second play as well. I mean, if you look at the odds on Pinnacle, basically suggesting that Liverpool are going to score twice because they're borderline favourites to score 2 goals in that team total market. And if you think Arsenal are going to avoid defeat at least, they've got to score twice then. So plus 184 looks pretty big. And like you said, it's something they managed last year twice when Liverpool were in a much better space defensively. So yeah, I just think the Eze X factor could be the key here because
Yeah.
he's had a lot of fun playing against Liverpool recently for Crystal Palace. So I won't be at all surprised if he plays off the left if he absolutely terrorises Soboslai or whoever else might be standing in at right back.
Well, with time and space, Eze's just what a signing. It just reaffirms my commitment at the start of the season that saying that Arsenal's a favorite to win the Premier League, and I've seen no reason to change that prognostication. That's my only official play game that I'm
Yeah.
touching from an official
Well,
bet perspective in the Premier League this weekend. But I'm curious what else is on your radar. I also have a few others to mention, but what else are you looking at, Jake?
yeah, there's quite a few, but just picking up on that point quickly, you mentioned about Arsenal being favourites, your favourites. They are now the favourites on Pinnacle to
Yeah.
win the title, plus 175. So the punters have clearly seen enough in terms of Liverpool's defensive issues. Obviously, City getting beaten, showing some cracks as well. They've moved into favouritism early on, which is quite eye catching,
Window
really.
closes next week. Window close. I mean, Arsenal, their business has to be just about done. We'll see if if Isak ends up landing in Liverpool, how that might affect the market. Does Chelsea go back in? I mean, they look a really, really good side as well. So we'll see what it looks like. But for now, I mean, I would hold off on betting Arsenal. To see what the transfer window has in store, just in terms of a futures play. And I'd hold off just to see how this weekend plays out as well. I mean, what did you say? It's plus 177.
Plus
If they
175,
do
yeah.
beat if they do beat Liverpool this weekend, there might be a small reaction, but I let it play out. I still don't think that you're getting value there, but rightfully, the shortest odds to win the Premier League.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And you mentioned one team there, Chelsea. So we'll move on to their game against Fulham because I really like,
Yep.
you said they're a really good team. I really like Fulham on the handicap. I'm going to be opposing them after they did me such a solid favour last week, be absolutely
Yeah.
destroying West Ham. Yeah, you were getting plus a full goal with Fulham at even money. And I just think that has to be taken. There's a few reasons. I still question marks around Chelsea. I'm not getting carried away. They were very good in that game against West Ham. Took advantage of set pieces. I think they scored 3 goals from set pieces, all told. And West Ham have been fading them for a long time. Faded them in the first game, faded them in the second. They're just rubbish. They're a really bad team. So I'm not being not getting too carried away. I think this will be a much bigger struggle for Chelsea, much similar to the opening game against Crystal Palace, where a very well organised mid-table team are very difficult to beat. And just the numbers behind Fulham and their kind of record last season against the better teams is really, really good. Like they played 16 games against the top 8 last season. They won 7, lost 7, drew 2. So if you back this handicap just plus 1, you would have 7 wins, 5 pushes, and just 2 losses. So you'd be well in front in terms of backing it blind. And then even away from home, they've split the record: 3 wins, 3 losses, and 1 defeat. So very, very impressive results. And I just think they're a team that just not been talked about enough as being very, very good. They've done no business
Well,
whatsoever this season,
I'll
and
tell you why. That's why, because they haven't done anything in the market. But Marco Silva with this team last year, they're outstanding. I backed Fulham on the handicap week 1 and won that bet against Brighton. But look, if you look at the way that the team is built, they could maybe use a little bit more depth in the midfield, maybe another attacker that plays from a wide area. But with Muniz and Jimenez as your number nines, you have depth there. Emil Smith Rowe hasn't even been playing games. King has been playing in front of him as they kind of work him into the season. I think he'll start this week. From wide areas, there's strong, aggressive players. Anthony Robinson, one of the best left backs in the Premier League, just came back in. There's continuity in this team. They know how to play under the manager. I have no problem with Fulham sometimes not going into the market and spending recklessly is the best decision. I do think they need to probably add a little bit of depth with Andreas Pereira likely going to Brazil, but like I think they're okay, Jake. Especially right now, they have no injuries or absences at the time of recording. So as long as that's the case, then you can make the case to really get behind this Fulham side absolutely as a top half of the table team, but a team that has the ability to maybe push on a little bit higher this season as well.
Absolutely, yeah, couldn't agree more. I think the foundations are just set. They've got a very, very settled back line. They look very, very solid, difficult to beat. They had a good partnership in front of them at Manchester United last week, Lukic and Berger. You could mix it up if you wanted to put Kearney in, but yeah, they're a team that they've become really, really awkward for the best teams to play against because they have, that they can soak up pressure, but they can also hurt you. So I'm absolutely going to be taking that bet. And the only thing that does worry me a little bit is Chelsea looked very good last week without Cole Palmer, and I wonder if Cole Palmer's a brilliant player, but I just wonder if Chelsea are actually better without him as an overall system and team because he demands so much of the ball and he holds the ball so long sometimes that it doesn't allow plays to develop. Whereas we saw with Esteval, it was get it, give it. It was a lot quicker on that right hand side. I just wonder if he doesn't play again and we see a similar performance, do we start hearing more about that? The fact that he might be holding them back, but.
Cole Palmer to Manchester United. Let's go. Let's do it. He
Yeah,
hasn't
you need
scored
another
forever,
number
so
10.
he would fit right in at Manchester United. He's a 10 who can't score in the Premier League at the very
Yeah.
least. Club World Cup seems a distant past. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on to any other plays in the Premier League this weekend.
Let's just keep it with Man United. We'll talk about United.
Burnley
on the handicap. We've got to take Burnley on the handicap. I was very wary and was proven right about a couple of people getting giddy about Sunderland's price last week against Burnley. Burnley were a lot better than the scoreline suggested against Tottenham. I think they're going to be a real handful for a Man United team that are low on confidence, that don't score a lot of goals, and ultimately don't beat teams very convincingly. So the home league record.
They don't beat anyone. Hold on, beat teams convincing. They don't beat anyone. What are you talking about? Okay,
they've won 4. They've won 4 of 14 home games against under Amorim. So they beat some teams, but they've only covered the handicap 3 times in 14 games at home. One was Everton, first game in charge for Amorim. The other was Southampton, who kind of were the better team for 80 minutes and then crumbled. And then last one was on the final day when Villa went down to 10 men. So, there's no reason at all we should be backing Manchester United to beat Burnley by 2 or more goals. So, yeah, you give me -110. And for some reason, there's money coming for United as well. So, if you maybe hold on a little bit longer, you might even get close to even money for this. So, it's a weird one because on the eye test in the first half an hour last week, they looked good again against Fulham. Bruno Fernandes misses the penalty. They then go 1-0 up, and then it just fall to pieces again. And I'm not too sure what. You look at the bench and there's decent depth on paper.
Well, but I'll give you a couple reasons. One, their central midfield was Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes. In what world does that work? Like, I wish that the world would just say it all together. Bruno Fernandes cannot play in the midfield too. Like, he's a fantastic player. He's not suited to play in a midfield two. He has to play in a 3. And until that's rectified or changed, United are still going to suffer. And their wingbacks, in the system that they play, you need really, really dynamic, really solid, wide area players. You have Dorgu, who might be okay, but he's just a kid. And there's certainly no polish on that. And on the right side, it's like the abyss. Like Diego Dallo's touch that led to the giveaway on that goal, like it's just horrendous. How he is a player that's still seeing significant playing time at Manchester United tells you all you need to know. So, just a couple quick thoughts. I'm not.
How about one more hot take?
Okay,
one more
go ahead.
Hot take. So you've had the Cole Palmer hot take. Man United should have sold Bruno. Should have snapped the money, snapped the hands off Saudi for Bruno.
Yes,
because you get cash to reinvest, you get the wages off the books, and you have a player who doesn't fit into a system out of the way.
Yes,
pretty straightforward.
Yes. I don't even think that's a hot take. That's just
lukewarm.
Like a sane take. That's the thing. People fall in love with the statistics and numbers. Look at his ball retention. his pass completion. It is just he's swinging for home runs in a system that's completely vulnerable on the counter attack. I think that United's been leading him to Saudi. It's like, and it's just the player that's been denying it because it's a World Cup year. He wants to put himself in position to go on and continue to play at the highest level. I have no doubt in my mind that next summer he's gone. He's going to, chase the cash, but he wants to play at a high enough level heading into the World Cup to ensure his spawn in a Portuguese side that should be competing to win the World Cup next summer. I think that United would sell him yesterday if they could, to be
Yeah,
honest. And that's just taking sentiment completely out of the equation because there's a lot of reason to like him as well. So enough about, on this Manchester United Today podcast. Let's get back to so you're on Burnley. Makes a whole lot
yeah,
of sense.
yeah. Let's
Yeah.
let's stick with Manchester though. Man City go to Brighton, and this is a massive part of the skin. Another one for City. I mean, we were both right last week by taking them on against Tottenham, and I'm going to take them on again because, well, Brighton, as we've said many a time on this podcast, they are one of the best teams around when it comes to playing against the best teams, but they're one of the worst teams when they're playing the worst teams. And their record kind of shows that, really. So last season against the top six, they played a total of 15 games. They lost just 4 times. So they avoided defeat 11 of those. At home, they won 4 of 7 across all competitions. They beat City, Chelsea twice, and Liverpool. The only defeat came against Aston Villa. And if you want to broaden it out a little bit, at home against the top half teams last season, as I said, I think the mid-table teams in the Premier League are very, very strong. So if you take a top half, they only lost 2 of 12 across all competitions. They are very, very good when it comes to playing against teams that actually open up and have a go at them. And that's ultimately what City will do. And last week, I know they got beat by Everton, which was another thing that we put up on the show about Everton being a hair underrated, but they actually created more than enough to get something from that game. They obviously missed a penalty. 2-0 was a bit of a harsh scoreline. And then you factor in City, the fact that they were well beaten by Spurs. They've still got defensive issues, question marks around the goalkeeper. Their away record last season against top half teams was abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. They lost 6 of 9 away games last season against top half teams. The only win against a top half team away from home came against Chelsea on the very first day of the season. So if you exclude that, they went the rest of the season without beating a top half team away from home. And I just think we have to get on Brighton. Handicap is at half a goal. We're getting plus money. And I wouldn't put anybody off backing Brighton to win at plus 316 because I think they're a cracking bet.
Okay. Shall we keep it going? Anything else in the Prem this weekend?
Yeah, I have 2 more. One that's a massive red flag avoid, which is Aston Villa to beat Palace. Don't go anywhere near that. That price is dangled minus 110. It looks appetising, but yeah, I wouldn't be touching that. I think there's some problems at Aston Villa. I think they're struggling to adapt to how the Premier League tactically is changing. They look a bit sluggish and a bit slow. Palace are very well organised, and Oliver Glasner just seems to have Unai Emery's number. I mean, since Glasner moved to England, they've played 5 times. Palace have won 4 by an aggregate of 16-4, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I would definitely look at
even losing Eze, they're still an excellent team. Pino, they're bringing in from Villarreal, good player, wide player, plays a little bit different. I'll see what it looks like if he played in a 4-4-2, but I think he's adaptable. So Palace are going to be fine. Honestly, there's some really good balance in that team. Strong midfield. So yeah, I'm avoiding that game as well.
Yeah.
I was considering making a Palace play, but it's just a watch and brief for me.
Yeah, me too. I initially was thinking, Villa look a good price because obviously Palace play midweek at Norway, which is not an ideal preparation. But then you look at the record and the way in which Villa have struggled, and but yeah, probably one of my favourite bets of the week is in the Forest West Ham game. I'm just going to go and shit on West Ham again.
Yeah, let's do it. That's
Forest
play.
First half money line at plus 148. Okay. So basically, Nottingham Forest to win the first half. As I mentioned, all's not well at West Ham. Poor performances after poor performance, conceding loads and loads of goals. Massive issues defending crosses and set pieces. 2 headed goals from crosses against Sunderland, 3 from corners against Chelsea, 1 from a set piece, and a headed goal from a cross against Wolves. Massive strength of Forest is getting crosses into the box, set piece threat. Massive plus there. But yeah, just looking at the data, Forest are such fast starters. They've scored 54% of their home goals in the first half last season, and conceded just 0.16 goals in first half per game last season, which is a remarkably low tally. They kept a home clean sheet at half time in 84% of games. So basically, if they carry on the way in which they're going, we just need Forest to score. And they've been the first team to score in 63% of their home matches. You factor in that West Ham fielded a very strong team in midweek in the Carabao Cup game, and Nottingham Forest got to have their feet up and just watch, basically, because they're in Europe, so they don't enter the Carabao Cup until the next round. And I think that this is a really, really bad spot for West Ham, and Forest are going to come out all guns blazing, just like they did against Brentford when this bet absolutely flew in. And they won, was it 3-0 in the first half? So wouldn't be surprised to see something similar. I just thought that was the best way to get a bit of extra juice in Forest's price.
Okay, well, we got a little bit more juice than me, but I'm all about shitting on West Ham here as well. West Ham not to score at plus 139. I know they scored here in the early stages, but they're going to Forest, who are a little bit of a fortress when they play at home. Only 16 goals conceded at home in the Premier League last season. That was joint best. They've actually beat West Ham to 0 the last 4 times that they played in all competitions at the city grounds. So I mean that's a good sign because history's on our side. And this West Ham team is worse than the collective. They only scored 23 goals West Ham away last season as well. So they stunk in terms of their attacking play under Graham Potter last season away. The only teams that scored fewer goals away from home last season were the 3 relegated sides who were all horrible: Manchester United and Everton. So enough said. That's the class, that's the category that West Ham's in. So West Ham not to score at plus 139. So just I wanted to mention another that I'm keeping my eye on: Everton on the 0 handicap at plus 107. They're at Wolves. Wolves played midweek. I believe Everton plays Mansfield on Wednesday. But I mean, this Strand Larson stuff, if he's on his way out, you're taking him out of the team. I believe that Toti's out of the team as well for Wolves this weekend through suspension. So Everton on the handicap, where if it ends in a draw, you get your stake back, is a decent enough play for me. And I'm very tempted to bet Newcastle away at Leeds United. Like, you might say, okay,
Do it.
Tonali, Joelinton are out, but Tanaka and Ampadu are out for Liverpool. So both midfields are going to look a little bit different in terms of the composition. And I love the way that this Newcastle team has played out of the gate. And the fact that they played so well and just not come away with results tells me this is a game that they're about to get something right. They've had the most expected points in the Premier League so far at 4.76. So I'm tempted. I'm not going to make that an official play on this podcast, but I'm going to be watching that to see if that number moves out even further. If so, I'm going to have to make a pro Newcastle play. That's it in the Premier League for me.
Yeah, just a little shout out for my Sheffield Wednesday, who managed to beat Leeds yesterday in the Carabao Cup, despite fielding. I think the team had a combined 250 professional appearances, with 240 of those coming from one player. So yeah, it was basically a youth team versus a Premier League team, and we managed to take them to penalties and win, which kind of maybe shows you what kind of level Leeds are at. So yeah, Newcastle might be a bit after all.
Brilliant. And if Jake keeps on winning here on this podcast, maybe he can be the new owner of Sheffield Wednesday after all. Let's move to Spain and La Liga. Any plays this weekend?
Yeah, just the one, and it's the same one as last week.
Come on.
Yes, Real Madrid to win in under 2.5 goals against Mallorca. Plus
But you know what I'm
275.
doing here as well.
You're
Real
doing
Madrid
win to
0. So, okay, go ahead. You first.
Yeah, obviously it was disappointing to get chinned in the 93rd minute at Oviedo, but I think
Shinned.
basically, yeah, we were on the right lines. It was a struggle for Madrid to create. They didn't generate too many good chances, but they kept Oviedo at arm's length, and I think they'll do the same to Mallorca. But Mallorca have got a bit more backbone about them in terms of defensive solidity. I mean, they held Barcelona to just 1 goal in the final 60 minutes of the game with 9 men. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them put up a real big fight. And interestingly, between these two, they've been very low scoring matches. So 4 of the last 5 head-to-heads have gone under 2.5 goals. And that was with Ancelotti, who's more vibes and less tactics. 2 of those were Real Madrid wins. So 2 of the last 5 were wins and under 2.5. makes me wanting to chance the price again, because I do feel as though that we are seeing a Real Madrid playing with more control and more restraint and just being less
Yeah.
leaky defensively. So I think this is the way to take advantage.
Yep. What's the number there?
Plus 275.
See, you're getting the juice for making a riskier play because the risk is that Real Madrid's playing, excuse me, playing at home, and 2 can turn to 3 just like it did last week. So I'll play it safe for Real Madrid to win to nil. They haven't conceded a goal in the season. Don't look like it either. Just a 0.54 expected goals against through 2 games played. They played Mallorca, who's only scored once this year. They have a 1.19 expected goals on the season, which is the 4th lowest. I know, again, it's only 2 games, but this follows the trend of only scoring 15 away goals all of last season. They're abject. They're horrible in terms of their attacking football. That's why a Canadian, Kyle Aaron, he's on his way out because he's like, what's the point of being a striker and playing for Mallorca? Because you're essentially like the 9th center back. So Madrid to win to nil at minus 106. That will be an official play and it will make my board this week. Anything else in La Liga?
No, that's me done. I don't have any other
Okay,
fancies.
I got. I have one more. One more I like. One more I'll make a play on. One more I'll mention. Um, Alaves and Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid is still being priced way too short in terms of totals, and you can get over the total of 2.25 at minus 103. This team plays completely different under Diego Simeone now than it did in the past. And both Alaves and Atletico have had big XG numbers this season. Alaves 3.16 to 2.88 in expected goals and expected goals against, playing Levante at home and Real Betis away. And Atletico 2.97 and 1.73. Espanyol, a 2-1 loss for Atletico Madrid first time out, and a 1-1 disappointing draw at Elche, where they actually had 2 expected goals in that game and just couldn't find the back of the net. So I just think that number's too small. You're getting it at a good price at minus 103 as well. And Betis against Athletic Club is the other game I'm keeping my eye on. Athletic Club away from home on the handicap of 0 again at minus 108. I think they could very well push Atletico Madrid as for who's going to be the 3rd best team in La Liga this season. I think they're being underpriced. Betis has some good players, but they haven't brought back Anthony yet. It was a real key contributor in an important position in their system last season, and they look a little bit short to me, especially out of the gate. Athletic Club, 2 good wins out of the gate over Sevilla, tricky opening fixture with the legs that they have in that team, and Vallecano, another team that likes to run and sprint and press. So they've done well through those 2 games. So I think
Betis
backing
play
them
tonight
at
as
least
well.
to come away. Betis play tonight. So at minus 108, that seems to be a good play to make as well. So,
Yeah, I like that.
all right. To Serie A we go. What are you
This
looking at?
is this is your territory, man. I've like I said last
I
week with
love my
Serie
Serie
A,
A.
I'm just staying well clear because I want to see a bit first. And to be honest, I didn't learn a lot from the first round of matches to be able to
Well,
jump back in. Other than Napoli are
you look
still pretty good.
Napoli win to nil. It's like every week. It just put it on your board. If you bet it out the entire season, I
I think you're going to
guarantee
get
you're coming
2
up
of
on
them at
top.
the end of the season.
Napoli win to nil. Cagliari this week, they're at home. You can get them at minus 104. Why not? I think the biggest sided advantage is Pisa takes on Roma. I think Roma is a really good team building off of what they did at the end of last season. You get Roma on the handicap away from home at 0.75 at minus 103. Yeah, I think Roma can be a team that pushes some of those top sides atop the Serie A table. The other team I like the look of in their first week. Juventus, they're at Genoa this weekend. You can back up the win outright, minus 111. Jonathan David scored in his first match, and this team looks a much better side with better attacking options, or at least more refined than they did last season. And that was something that really held this team back. So, under the new manager, minus 111, playing a Genoa team that I think they drew Lecce. It was a goalless draw in the first week. I'll back Juventus as well. So we'll try to back some of the big boys here this weekend in Serie A. Bundesliga to wrap things up. What's going on in Germany after the first week is I couldn't believe Bayern Munich, RB Leipzig. I was just salivating because all they needed was Leipzig to find the back of the net in a game which was a complete blowout for a nice plus. I think it was like a plus 232 victory. They couldn't even give me that last week. But what a way to start the season for Bayern Munich. What else? Any observations from Bundesliga week 1?
No, same as Serie A, just keeping it well clear. I will say that it does look ominous, or I know it was only one game, but the way in which Bayern kind of swatted Leipzig aside, the way in which Leverkusen failed to win, Dortmund failed to win, it does look like we might not have a title race whatsoever again this season.
Crazy. 2 observations and 2 potential plays. I think Eintracht Frankfurt, I mentioned it last week, despite losing Ekitike, I think they're going to be good. They're going to go to Hoffenheim. Plus 131 is a bet I can get behind. It won't be an official play, but that's where I'd lean this weekend. And I think that my sweetheart team from Germany last season, Mainz, is going to be in some trouble with more football, more profile. They lost one of their best players in Burkhardt, and last week they didn't look very good at all. Now they go to Wolfsburg, who I think are a decent enough side. Get back the home side, Wolfsburg against Mainz at plus 111. That would be my play there as well. So just not much going on in Bundesliga for me this weekend, but 2 potential plays for you to make out there. All right, time to lay your cards on the table and for Jake to take all the money. What are your official plays for this week?
Let's hope so. So my favourite bet of the week, 1.5 units, Brighton plus half a goal against Man City at plus 104. Wow. I'm going to put a unit on Forest first half money line against West Ham at plus 148. I'm a unit on Fulham plus a goal at Chelsea at minus even money. I'm going to do a unit on Burnley plus 1.5 at United at minus 111. And half a unit on Real Madrid to win and under 2.5 goals, because this one, it will win this time. Plus 282 prices moved.
Okay. I'm kind of changing this on the fly here. Okay. Let's go 1.5 units, the Arsenal on the handicap at Anfield this weekend. Okay. Let's also go 1.5 units, Real Madrid to beat Mallorca, win to 0 at minus 106. So 2 more units to play. It has to be Napoli win to 0. It has to be. Lock that one in. And let's back Roma away at Pisa at minus 103 on the handicap of 3/4 of a goal for a full unit. So those are our plays this weekend. I had to make the bigger play on Arsenal because already I don't want to be looking up at Jake all season long, like trying to chase him down. Last year it was the reverse, except for the head-to-head. So, but you're setting a blistering pace. Well done. And I feel like I'm on the right side of all of those aforementioned plays that are going on this weekend. It was just a matter of like the Arsenal team total, whether I was going to get back in. And the West Ham game, like if this was a week that we could go beyond just those 5 units. Yeah. Anyways, we'll leave it at that.
Where you get where every month you get an extra unit to play on any given week.
Bonus unit?
Bonus?
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
We'll talk to the powers that be. Yeah. Yes.
Best of luck.
Good stuff, Jake. Yeah, thank you. Have a good week. Enjoy the football. And thanks for tuning in. Once again, bet smart, bet Pinnacle. He's Jake. I'm Wheels. And this has been episode 51 of Pinnacle FC.